So I'm Sara Leedom. I'm the managing director of Inkomoko. We're a Kigali-based accelerator for small and medium enterprises. And we've been in Rwanda for about 18 months. And this year we're working with 100 entrepreneurs. So Inkomoko is a Kenya-Rwanda word meaning the source or the origin. And we see ourselves as sort of a source of support for the entrepreneurs that we work with. Inkomoko was founded here 18 months ago in partnership with two people who had been living and working in Kigali for a while. One was teaching economics and accounting at the School of Finance and Banking, and another was a local entrepreneur. And between the two of them, they sort of came up with this general plan of how can we support more entrepreneurs. So Inkomoko started off as small business development services. But Inkomoko then partnered with an international NGO called the African Entrepreneur Collective, and I'm one of the founding board members of AEC. And when AEC was looking for our first pilot site to really ramp up and bring this loan funding and bring in all of the other services that we offer, Rwanda was a really great, fertile environment to be able to do that. And so in launching the partnership with Inkomoko, we were able to bring in the international resources, plus have a company that was already registered here who really knew the landscape of what's happening. So I think the biggest change in the past 18 months, I mean, there's a lot of players in the ecosystem here, and there haven't been too many new entrants in the past 18 months or so. But of the people that are doing the work on the ground here, there's a much more sort of cohesive support network. The right hand knows what the left hand's doing. There are sort of traveling road shows where people work together. And there's also a lot of international investment, sort of attention coming to Rwanda. So that's whether that's partnerships between the government and large investors, or creating a pipeline of investment from the small micro enterprise investment or microfinance that then is able to dovetail that with sort of small and medium enterprise investment, which then is able to launch a company up to the next level of sort of Series A, larger scale investment. There's starting to be a really smooth, continuous pipeline. So most of Rwanda's ecosystem, let me start that over again. Most of Rwanda's economics are really focused around agriculture. And so one of the areas that the government has focused a lot of attention on is moving people from strictly an agrarian-based economy to then bringing also tech inventions and tech enterprises, and sort of creating a pathway for other types of entrepreneurs to really grow and other types of enterprises to flourish. And so some of the investments that the government has put in place around bringing in sort of focused 3G networks and 4G networks, and sort of making sure that there's the right ecosystem here for companies to thrive, I think has been really important. In recognition, though, that there are also a lot of companies that are still really focused on this traditional economy around agriculture, we're also seeing, at least in our portfolio of clients that we're working with, about 40 to 50% of our clients are still in agriculture. And so looking at ways that they can sort of transition from being subsistence agriculture to being sort of post-harvest investment. And so through the agriculture ministries, there's been some new investment vehicles that have really been able to sort of help add on value to the products that are coming out of Rwanda for export markets. I think one of the reasons that we chose Rwanda is because the space is really ripe for people to grow and develop their ideas. When you look at sort of a Western notion of what makes a good entrepreneur, there's some element of arrogance to it, that sort of belief that like you cannot fail. There's the creativity and the resilience of being able to take a challenge and pivot whenever you sort of hit that challenge. And then there's being able to just really kind of know your audience, know your customer. And I think Rwanda, I mean, you see so many young people who have overcome so much in their short lives that the resilience and the ability to pivot, I think, are actually really embedded in people's experience just on a sort of a day-to-day basis, that people are making do and coming together in community and sort of figuring out how to move forward. I think one of the things that most countries in Africa are facing still, Ghana included, is also just sort of really being able to have a full sense of what's possible. I mean, I think for the entrepreneurs here, they're facing some of the same challenges that entrepreneurs face everywhere. Lack of access to capital, lack of sort of access to sort of proven markets already. I mean, I think having a success story that comes out of Rwanda would be fantastic. And I think that goes back to the piece again about this culture of low expectations. If you can see yourself succeed, or you can see someone who's very much like you, especially if you have a homogenous culture, you can see someone who really looks like you or came from your home and have a major success story, that can be an inspiration. The flip side of that is, we also have an entrepreneurial culture where sometimes people do follow the path that's already laid out before them. So success may also kind of breed mimicry. So whether there's a success story that's come before someone or not, I think the possibility of making a big change will really come to fruition once people feel like they can have the tools and the resources that they need to be able to come up with an idea, have the business skills around that, and also have the external resources to make that kind of all come together. There's so many stories of Silicon Valley investors who have found the guy in the garage or the teenager who's been tinkering around with something, and there's no reason why that can't also be a garage in Kigali as much as it is a garage in Silicon Valley. So I think for people to be able to come up with the creative ideas to solve the challenges in their community, I think it's all about starting with the kernel of idea and finding a fertile bed where that can be nurtured and developed.